I get this question asked all the time. Hey coach, all the information that you gave us about the role and responsibility of a Scrum Master, all the tools, all the techniques, tips that you shared, everything is awesome. But can you also walk us through as to what does a typical day look like for a Scrum Master? What does his or her day look like? And that is, my friend, a great question. Now, this following conversation will help you answer that very important question. I want you to join my conversation with one of my friend, a close friend, who is working as a Scrum Master in a well-reputed company that is well known across the globe. So, without further ado, let's join that conversation where he's going to walk us through the day in the life of a Scrum Master.
Somehow that was like quite natural to me, connecting with people, helping out wherever they want to. And then I got introduced to this agile way of working.
Yes.
And I did my Scrum Master certification while I was working as a project manager. And then slowly I started shifting my career goals towards more Scrum Master and agile coach kind of responsibility. So basically, to start with, as a Scrum Master, the responsibilities that I have, I basically categorize them. If I have to categorize, will be into three different heads.
Mm-hmm.
One is working with the development team. The other responsibility is working very closely with the product owner. And the third responsibility, which is kind of a very, I would say, depends on the organization that you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would categorize my other list of tasks under organizational support. Right. In a typical day, when I go to office, my the first priority of the day is to have the first greetings or the first, catch up with my team. So now the scenarios have changed. Most of my teams are remote. Remote meaning even in different time zones.
Right.
So it's not.
Let me just stop you right there. Sorry, but you said so. The first priority is the team update. So that's not. Is that the daily Scrum, or is this something before daily Scrum?
The daily Scrum hasn't happened yet. I
Okay.
will come to that.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is you get into that mood, right? You make the team feel that, yes, I'm here. Now you can approach me. You can talk to me if you have any problems, and I will be happy to help you out. So basically starting your day, connecting to everyone and wishing them well, and just checking offline. How did you do? Some people work late overnight. So
right.
I saw you working late, and then what's the problem? That kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So the first event that starts for the day is obviously the daily Scrum. Now, when I say daily Scrum, it depends on the time zones that your team members are in. I even have my daily Scrums for some of my teams at the end of the day, around 5:30 to 6 p.m. That's the reason for that is to have a kind of overlap time zone so that everybody is in their working hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'll talk about a typical team, which starting from the day in the morning, the first thing that we have is the daily Scrum. Again, daily Scrum is like, I make it a point that people connect as personally as possible. When people are remote, people tend to be off on cameras. They don't show their faces. So we make a request. Hey, dude, what's happening? What's wrong? And, I would like to see your face. It has been a long time. We haven't been able to catch up, but at least show your face, man. And that kind of thing, make things casual and make things relax as much as possible.
So I think Mike, I've been mentioning several times probably that being a Scrum Master is more of a people person. Right? It is about people, not about any specific technology or any specific project in general as such. It's about people. You as a Scrum Master, you are the change agent, right? You're kind of the first one to bring in the change. So you are in fact asking people to change the way they do their work, right? The way they approach their project, the way they approach the product development, right? So you are working towards changing their approach, their mindset, and you cannot do that with a specific technology as such. The technology that you have to use is this.
Yeah, that's 40,000 years of technology.
Right. So it is very important for you to connect to the people here,
Yes.
and then
What I have realized is even for a day, if you don't talk about technology, you don't talk about work, that's fine as well. People need somebody to express, because everybody is stressed in the office environment.
Yes.
So that's where we come in. We kind of help people to get happiness of that, if I have to say that. So like coming to office or working is making sure that they feel good about it.
Yes. Okay. Very
So
good.
where I was is like in a daily scrum, I make sure that people are on the call. I make sure that at least I spend 1 or a couple of minutes just to talk about weather, or talk about yesterday's challenges, or make a joke or something, like I had a breakfast or something, the usual stuff.
Yes.
So the icebreaker, yeah. And then we, as you know, daily scrum is not supposed to be a status update meeting, but people tend to feel like, so we are like servant leaders. So we are like leaders, and people tend to report. At least I have seen that. Like when you ask, when stand up comes, people think, oh, he's like a leader, let me report my status. But that's not we are supposed to do. So what I tell them is, guys, it's okay if you don't want to speak, that's fine. Just tell me if there is anything I can help you with.
Right.
If anything is blocking you. And I don't need to know what you did yesterday or what you'll be doing today. That's fine if you share with the other team members, but that's not what I want to know. I want to know what is blocking you, what is stopping you, how I can be of any help for you today. So that goes on for 15 minutes. People talk, people have points to discuss. Sometimes I tell the other people to leave. Okay, guys, it's done. But there are some topics we need to talk offline. I make sure that I stay back if the people are talking on the call. And that's about it. The daily scrum is done. Apart from this, so the next thing that I do typically is I go into our tracking tool. Right now we are using Jira. So I go and check, have the things moved. So I maintain my own statistics, like how much of story points were moved from say from review to done. Did we do kind of better job than yesterday? Yesterday we had say 30 story points in to do. Today do we have things in progress? Because that also gives me a kind of a background to talk about in the next day's stand up. Like, hey guys, I observed that we have too many to-dos and we just have a couple of days remaining for the sprint. So what do you think we should do? Should we sit together to move stuff out, or are you all good with it? Or am I seeing something wrong, that things have moved, but the tracking tool is not showing the correct picture of that?
Right. Okay.
Sandeep, would you say that as a Scrum Master, you are not just reacting, but you are in fact being proactive also? And yes, you have to react as in the team members bring in impediments. You have to react to it and work with others in the organization to clear that impediment roadblock, right? But at the same time, you have to stay ahead of the game also, I would say. No, you have to kind of be proactive and think about what can help the team tomorrow, next week, right? And I think that's what you are doing, looking at it and okay, what's coming up next.
Yeah, so team members tend to work in silos because with this remote environment also, there is hardly any chance for people to interact with each other. So my job is to bring that visibility, what's happening across the team. So when I look at the tracking tool, I have I get an idea like how many people are working on which tasks. So the next day I just bring up the charts that I make out of. I do maintain some statistics as well, which is aside from the tracking tool. some formulas, things like that on my Excel sheets. So to track the velocity, to track the capacity of the team, so that kind of thing.
Yep.
So that helps me to visualize overall what's happening in the team, and also helps me to share that information, not daily, but at least couple of
times a week, just to let them know where they are. Okay.
Yeah, just bring up that dashboard and showing them, hey guys, this is where we are going, and this is what we need to achieve. But it seems to be quite far off. Are you guys okay with it? Then we do something like yesterday's weather. Yesterday's weather is like, where were we like in the previous sprint or in the previous week? What situation we were in, like comparing with the some previous milestone, or whatever we are working towards. So that gives an idea about the team, and that information is really appreciated, because that is where people get to see an overall view what's going on in the team.
Okay.
So that helps. That is what I do. And then I typically once my this understanding of the team's situation is done, I typically approach the product owner. So that's the another head that I was talking about, the categorizing my responsibilities: development team, product owner, and organization. So I spend quite a lot of time with my product owner as well. Even a casual coffee. How are things today? Let's go. Let's catch up and talk a bit over a cup of coffee. So we go over to our pantry and we just talk, and I try to grasp what is going on. Is he facing any problems, or if there is something that I have heard from the team where the developers are not able to understand what's need to be done next, or why this was a priority, why it did not work in something else, variety of topics.
Right.
So those kind of casual catch up with the product owner really helps. And I also kind of similar approach, right? I'm here to help you out, helping the product owner, giving him that confidence that yes, if you are facing problems writing user stories, if you are facing problems, say, talking to the department head, so that's where I come in. And the setup that we have done in our company is like, we belong to a team called Agile Coaches Group, which sits outside any of the development organization or administrative organization. We are separate group. But coming back to the product owner, so we talk about user stories. What are the next OKRs coming up? OKRs is like quarterly goals that we track in our company. So that's how we connect that to the evaluation of the team also, and the team manager. So that's really important for us. So I talk on that OKRs as well sometimes. Why we are going slow on this, why there is not enough progress, or when should we do a review, those kind of things. And then obviously when the sprint is going on the background, we are continuously refining the backlog. The product owner is supposed to be working on the backlog. So that's also one of my responsibility, to go into and check that things are moving. I don't fix any particular schedule for backlog refinements, but I make sure that it keeps on happening in the background. And I do ask questions. So that's where my role as a product owner, helping out the product owner, goes. And it takes time, but over a period of time, it's my responsibility, or rather I should say it's my duty, to gain that trust of the product owner. That's very important. And the whole Scrum team, in my experience, is structured or directed or guided by the product owner. So it's very important for me to make sure that the team trusts the product owner, and the product owner gets what he wants the teams to do. Coming back to the responsibility with the development team. So one of the important responsibility of the Scrum Master, at least in our organization, is to keep continuous track of the health check of the team. When I say health check, meaning we have a certain set of questions. If you look into the Spotify way of working, if you do some YouTube search or Google search, you'll get to know what kind of parameters are checked to check the health of to track the health of the team. So I do this quarterly health checks. So we usually, our cadence is every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, like 1.5 months, there should be a health check of the team. That's our milestone. So every Scrum Master working with the team should be able to show the results of the health check. So we do it every 6 weeks with our teams. And of course, there are a lot.
One question: when you say you should, every Scrum Master checks the health of the team, and they go by metrics. Like, so what do you? I mean, obviously I'll check YouTube and whatnot, but what things do you check for the health of a team? And as you go through your daily Scrum and your retrospectives and your sprint review, you should be able to pick up on anything that's either going well. You know, you should be able to pick up things that are going well with the team and also things that are not going well with the team. So do you only wait for that six weeks to check the health of the team, or are you constantly, you know, in your mind making sure the team is healthy as they move along?
Yeah, good question there. So we do have retrospectives as usual. Like, we don't miss any of the Scrum recommended events. So we do have retrospectives. Every sprint we get together and talk about, you know, what retrospective means. But health check is specifically covering the topics which are more broad, like organizationally. Are you okay with the support that you are getting from the HR?
So, Mike, think of it as two separate buckets, right? So as you said, you know, during your daily interaction with the team, during your retrospective and all that, you are picking on things, right? What's working, what's not working. I would say those are more of tactical, you know, short-term kind of focus. The health check that Sandeep is referring to, I would look at it as more of a strategic view.
Okay.
Now, everything that we are doing is that lining up, is that bubbling up to our strategic goal? What strategy we need to adapt in order to become a better team, in order to become a high-performing team, right? So again, as we talked earlier, as a Scrum Master, I'm not only looking at today, I should be also looking at tomorrow, right?
Gotcha.
So staying ahead of the team.
So this is an online tool that we use for regular retrospective with our teams and also for the regular health checks. So I'll show you what kind of parameters we check. Let me go to one of my teams and I'll show you. Okay, let me take.
And that's one other question. When you say teams, how many Agile teams are you the Scrum Master for?
Well, that depends on your organization, because team-wise also we are limited. And right now, for me, full-time, I'm working with 2 Agile teams, 2 Scrum teams. But we can stretch ourselves, in my experience, to maximum 3 to 4 teams, but not more than that. That becomes too much of a burden, and you don't do justice for the team members. Right?
Yeah, I would say. Okay.
So this is my team. And if you see, I have retrospectives here. So all of the retrospectives are recorded here in this tool, everything that I have been running. And I also have the health checks for the teams recorded here. So you see the results, right? And let me open up one of my health checks so that you get to see what questions we asked. So this is the survey. So I ask, go to the team and just open up. Like, I invite the team members and everything is anonymous. This is very important, that everything should be anonymized as much as possible. If the team prefers to not make anonymous, that's fine. But mostly in my experience, people say that, yes, let's keep it anonymous. So these are the parameters we check, like trust and safety. What is, if people are feeling good about it, that means we feel safe to be ourselves and to share our thoughts. We don't hesitate to engage in constructive conflicts. The bad side of it is mistakes and failures are not accepted. Meetings are not a safe place to share our thoughts. We avoid constructive conflicts. So we give two sides, good and bad. And then we ask people to vote on them. Like I had selected green here, but here you can see a red as well as an amber and a green. So people have the choice to select. So once they select, everybody is done. Like you see here, 15 of my 16 members have completed. So I go here, discussion phase, and this is the result that I see. It shows me like how many people voted green on this, how many people voted amber on this. This is the data we maintain.
Okay.
And this also shows me a trend. Like last time from the previous 4 or 5 times, it was green, something went up, something went down. So all these kind of things. And then, of course, once this result is there, then I start, discussing. Like I open up, I start presenting, and each of the items come up, and then we talk about, okay, 14 people turned green, so maybe nothing much to discuss here. But anyone who has voted amber, do you have any comments? Can you help us to identify what are the points that we should do to improve on this next time?
Right. Okay.
If people open up, that's fine. Otherwise, we just move on. So why I'm showing you this is there are comments also people put in here. Like why? Purpose. So 11 people green, 4 people amber. So why? Because long-term mission is unclear.
Gotcha. Yep.
This kind of things, right? So then at the end of it, so after all the discussion, I'll list down the action item here. This is the action item. This is the comment side. So this tool is quite efficient in that sense.
Okay.
So
now, when you have an action item, is that an action item for you as the Scrum Master to, help to those changes to be made, or are you assigning it to someone at that point?
No. Our job is to help assign tasks to identify what needs to be done. We are not there to solve all the problems, you see.
Right.
We are there to help or visualize what are the problems for the team to see what are the problems. There are something that team has to resolve themselves. They have to do it themselves. We just make sure that, okay, this is a problem, guys. You need to figure it out. Why the code quality is bad. I cannot help anything on that. But at least people have come up with this point that code quality is bad. So what is going wrong? Should we have a discussion? Should we go for a training? Should we,
Yeah. Okay.
that kind of thing. So this is what I have, and this is what I do. This is health check, and the results are tracked over a period of time, and then come up with action items. Right. So if I go, so these are the action items that had come up from the last 2021 Q2. That's this quarter final health check.
Right. Okay.
So these are the action items that came up with, and I've assigned them to members of the team.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
One is on product owner, the other is on the technical lead, so that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then I go ahead and share.
Sandeep, question here. Do you actually assign it to the team members, or you're basically opening up, hey, we have these 3 action items, team, you figure out who is the right person and self-assign it?
So that happens during the discussion phase, right? When I'm talking about this item, people had comments. Okay, so we identified that this should be done to improve our trust and safety. So I put that action item here. So then I have to ask, hey, who can pick this up? Who can do this? Do you want any help, or somebody volunteers for it? If nobody volunteers for it, I usually put it on myself to make sure that I go back to this and assign somebody appropriate for that later.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it is essentially self-assigning. During that conversation, it has already happened, and towards the end of the session, you are just taking care of the logistics to actually assign it to those people in the tool. It's really, you are not assigning, but you're just taking care of all the logistics. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, this tool is accessible to everyone. Like if my team wants to see, hey, did we agree on this? What did we talk about in the retrospective? What was the action item? So people go into this tool and can check what was the action and from the comments. So that's like self-driven. And sometimes it so happens there is a long list of action items which nobody has worked on. So I bring it up in my daily call, in the daily Scrum, or maybe in the planning meeting or during the next retrospective. So my job is to make sure that things keep on moving, not necessarily solve, but make sure that people are working on them.
Yeah, another point I want to bring up here, and as Sandeep said, as a Scrum Master, we are working on in different domains, right? So you are working with the team, you are working with the product owner, you are working on the organizational stuff, right? All that is happening, and oftentimes this is the part that is often ignored. Organizations kind of get bogged down with all the nitty gritties.
Yep.
But the most important part, I would say, as a Scrum Master, you are doing is creating that psychological safety, the trust and safety that he's showing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
How safe my team feels, right? So creating that psychological safety, creating that trust is the most important aspect of being a Scrum Master, I would say. You can have a highly technical people, experts on your team, but if that psychological safety is not existing, if that trust is not existing, they are not going to perform well.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can have junior developers, let's say, in your team, but if there is a high level of trust, they will figure out and they will pull through any challenge. People centric, yes. So it's a people centric and focus on creating that trust, not only between me as a Scrum Master and the team member, but as a group, collectively as a group. Do I trust everyone in my team? Okay. So creating that psychological safety, creating that trusting environment is very, very important, and that doesn't happen overnight. It takes
Yeah.
several sprints at times.
Yeah.
Right.
Building that trust is, that's the important part. So once you have that proper, that's how we work towards, like our whole aim is how to make the team self-organized.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the important definitions of a self-organized team is that they are able to sort out their problems themselves. They don't need an external help. And how that can happen when you as a Scrum Master succeed in implementing a process where people are comfortable. It's like a wheel which you start rolling. So once the wheel is perfect, starts rolling, things fall into place.
Yep.
So that's what I would like to like visualize what we do. So our aim is to make it workable, and then things fall into place. And we cannot help in increasing compensation. There are people who get bad evaluation feedbacks. They're upset. They come back. They say, hey, I don't like to work in this team. I'm not being appreciated. My manager has not given me proper evaluation. What do I do as a Scrum Master if somebody comes and asks me this question?
Because I'm of the thought process, there's not necessarily bad employees. Maybe he's just in the wrong seat. If you put him in a different seat, he'll gonna be the best employee ever. So you have to figure out what's the why, and then put in plans to fix the why.
Yeah, that's true. But I would do it a bit differently because it's when you are working in an organization, you cannot handle each individual's issues, right? You have your own limitation. On the contrary, you might also have been evaluated badly. Who takes care about your emotional state at that point of time?
Right.
So how I make it a process that in case there is a situation where a person is not feeling good because of whatever evaluation comments from the manager, I try to make it a three-way conversation. I set up a session. I sit with two of them. I talk. So it's not that the manager is deliberately trying to push down someone, or the employee or the person who has been evaluated badly is not deliberately trying to do things badly, right? So we have to basically understand each other's point of view. The manager should be mature enough to be able to explain why he did not give proper evaluation.
Right.
The employee should be also in that state of mind or frame of mind that he should understand why he was evaluated, lesser than the other people who were evaluated higher. There are even times when the manager says, hey, I did not have the budget. I was given that I could only promote 2 people from the team. So I only chose so and this. So you did not fit that bill. You did well, but I was given a restriction of only 2 people for promotion this time.
The other thing I want to add is that, and I've always said this to managers, that at the end of the year, I shouldn't be surprised by my review. If I'm doing something bad in February, I need to be told about it in February so then I can fix that. You shouldn't be able to tell me in December, oh, well, you did this bad back in February, March. Well, it's too late to fix that. You should have told me at the point so then I could put in corrective actions so then we could get better. So sometimes a bad review at the end of the year is also on the, I believe, sometimes on the manager, not necessarily, and on the employee, but I would say the manager too. They need to have some corrective action when it happens.
Yes.
So a couple of things to add here. So this is again going back to those domains that we were talking about, right? As a Scrum Master, you are working with the organization in this case, right? Organization being the manager.
That's coming to that,
right?
Yep.
That's going
right?
to that, yeah.
And the other piece is, when we talk about these yearly reviews and promotions and all that, I hope that it is not just up to the manager to promote you or not, right? Ideally, and most organizations do that, ideally, the management has talked to your team members, your colleagues, your peers in the background, and all that kind of added up to that final.
Right.
So they've already heard from others within your team, other people who you interact with more regularly, right? The other piece is again this is agile. We say in agile the manager's role changes, and this is a perfect example, right? I am not managing the quote resources, right? But I am helping that person first of all realize that these are the problems, and as you said, tell me in February, not in December. So hopefully as a manager, I have had that ongoing conversation with this person. The second part to that is it's not enough for me as a manager to just tell this person, hey, you are doing this wrong, but also help him, support him in correcting that as to, hey, okay, this is a problem we know. Let's sit together. Let's plan as to how we can improve on that. You have to, as a manager, you have to help them grow. If you don't do that, they will leave the company. They will leave the team. They will leave the company and find another environment where they can prosper. I believe strongly in that. Again, managers' role also changes in Agile. You have to become more of a leader. You have to become more of a strategist than tactician.
Right. But also to that point, I believe too, is certain managers, you're also supposed to help the people under you grow so that they also leave for better opportunities. You as a manager are supposed to grow your people working for you. So you can't be upset if you help them grow and they end up leaving anyway. It's that's your job as a manager, is to help people grow.
I would be ecstatic if I was the manager that, hey, I helped this person, I mentored this person in a way, right? And he is moving on to better things.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. That's
so that is my mindset.
Yeah.
On that note, Sandeep, I have a question. I came across, and for both of you actually, I came across this several times. In fact, just last week I was talking to a VP and talking about this company is doing agile, and he was like, we were talking about how things are going, and one of the comment he made is that, hey, the Scrum Master, in my organization, the Scrum Masters, they work just for 2 hours. They do this daily Scrum. They'll do a few other charts, and they are done. So essentially, they're working only 2 hours in a day, but I'm paying them for 8 hours. Now, they look at this, that hey, this guy is just going around, wandering around, and every time I look at him, he's talking to this person, that person. That's all he does, he or she does. So, what do you tell that manager?
Yeah, this is nothing new. Like it happens in my organization as well. So people who don't understand what a Scrum Master responsibility is or what Agile coach's responsibility is will obviously form that kind of idea of what we do. I would be surprised if a development team member asks this question, right? It's fine if the manager asks because they are like, our job is to shield the team from the effect of the manager, right? So the like for me, bi-weekly I have a one-on-one discussion with the department head. That's what I do, but that's not recommended. I mean, if you can have it more frequently, that's fine as well. But he doesn't have time, so I managed to get 30 minutes of his time every 2 weeks. I make sure that I have a structured agenda. I make up my mind what I'm going to talk to him. I don't want to listen to his advices at that point of time. Rather, I should be the one who should be advising him. And this is what is going wrong in the team, and this is what you should not do. Because that's what when in the beginning I said, like, we are agile coaches group. We are sitting separate from all the other organizations. So we have that license to go to the manager, whoever it is, and say that this is a problem, man. This is a problem because of you. You should change it, even to that extent, right?
Right.
So I have personally done that because when I found that the VP, since he had a more idea of the business and he's owning the budget, so he was pushing in requirements into the backlog. Now, when I saw this, I went to the product owner. I asked, do you know that why this is a priority? Why should that person come and tell us that this is what the team should be doing? Product owner said, man, I don't have an control over that. He just came over and he spoke to the engineers, and engineers started working on it.
Right.
And this is something that needs to be solved, right? So in my one-on-one, I went to the manager and I told him, see, because of this small action of yours, you have spoiled my 2 sprints. So we have our priorities. We are working on stuff. Right? If you come and push in stuff from outside, it doesn't work. That is why we have a product organization. You should be talking to the product owner. Why did you bypass our product owner? Who is it helping? It is not helping you. If we support that one small hardware that you want to be supported, or the whole team to be happy and they can be working on more productive stuff other than implementing what you want them to do. Well, it's not that always we have to do this, but depending on the situation, right? There are some times where the department head makes sense also, like why you guys are doing this, do this. This is what the business needs you to do. That is fine. So that's for that. I have my sprint reviews. I have my other discussion times where he can put his points across. So answering your question, Nimesh, I would say the best way to handle that is to bring up some data and statistics of the team.
Yeah, I look at it as our like teaching moment. This is our opportunity to teach the management, the VP, about agile, what is right, what is wrong, right? Again, we are the subject matter expert here, and we want to empower them. We want to empower them with the right knowledge, right information. So this we know that this is a misconception.
Right.
So if I don't teach him, if I don't clear that, I'm doing a disservice there, right? So this is, I look at it as my opportunity to teach him and clear those myths and misconceptions. So going forward, he has a better understanding of what the Scrum Master does. And if he has the better understanding, he will be able to better support them as well.
And just to, because we spent quite a considerable amount of time talking about what the managers should be. So from Scrum Master perspective, one thing I want to add there is that goes under the heading where I said that we do service to the organization. So that doesn't mean that I train the managers, but I make sure the manager who is sitting in the managing position has gone through the HR training of manager. On top of that, it's very important for us to show the actual picture of the organization. So I haven't at least come across any managers who say that oh, my team doesn't like me, I'm a bad manager. Like, everybody thinks that I'm the best manager and everybody in my team likes me. So my job is to show the manager the actual picture of things. And how do I do that? I have a tie-up with or rather a discussion or an agreement with the HR that we will be running every 6 months. We'll be doing the manager's feedback survey. So it's a simple set of questions that from organization chart, I bring out this manager, these 10 people are reporting to this manager. So I build up a survey for that particular manager. I send those survey questions to those 10 people.
So it's similar to the health check of the team. It's the health check of the manager.
You can say that the set of questions, the parameters that you check are different. So for a manager's feedback, I put a question like, does your manager have regular one-on-ones with you? Does your manager help you with your career goal? So rate your understanding in a scale of 1 to 10 or something like that, or good, bad, that kind of rating, whatever you feel like. So basically, draw out some statistics and show that to the manager. Like, this is what your teams have evaluated you. This is purely for you. I don't share that with the HR that your evaluation will matter there, right? This is for you to see where you should do what to improve. Okay. That's an important function that we as Scrum Master do to the organization. That really helps. That adds lots of value as well. Okay. So I also do surveys for other managers. It just involves sending out an email with a set of questions and collecting the feedback and drawing out some stats out of that. So that's what we do. That's how we help the organization.
Okay. All right.
And another aspect, rather, I would say a very important aspect of also increasing our own knowledge, because Scrum means inspect and adapt, right? So we also as Scrum Masters inspect ourselves and adapt ourselves. That's very important. How do we do that? We do trainings, we do coachings. I do a full day Scrum training for newcomers or new joinees in the company. I tell them, like, over a day of 8.5 hours, I take them across what is the Agile processes that we follow in the company, what Agile means to us, how the organization is structured, and what you as a new joinee to the company or new joinee in a team is supposed to be doing. And also presenting the fact that we Agile Coaches Group are here to help you out. Please reach out to us anytime you have challenges or you have problems within your teams.
Okay.
So here again, we are asking everybody, like our team, to inspect and adapt, right? We are talking about creating that environment where that continuous learning is happening, continuous improvement is happening, right? So we have to eat our own dog food, as I like to call it, right? So we are Scrum Masters. We are not perfect as well. And nobody is perfect. In fact, I would say that anybody and everybody can improve, right? So as a Scrum Master, I have to do a self-reflection also as to where I am today, what are the things that I can improve on, and work towards that, right? Work towards gaining some new knowledge also, right? So that's a Scrum Master should be a continuous learner, like I would say lifelong learner, right? So you're continuously learning. It doesn't have to be all about Agile also. It could be how we deal with people, how we work with people. As I said, it's all about people, right? So there are a lot of things that you can look into, explore, and continuously learn and improve, right? And it could be you doing the training. It could be other way also, you going and sitting in some training delivered by somebody else, right? So that you can gain some new knowledge that you can bring to your team, bring to your organization.
Trainings do help because when we talk about a wide variety of audience, like it's a global company, people are from all over the world, right? So
Right.
everybody have a different domain experience. They do ask questions which we are not able to answer. We tell them, hey, this is beyond my dictionary right now. Let me come back to you later. But that also helps us to, deal with how you communicate with a group of people, how you facilitate things. That's where we add value to the organization. So we do, facilitate workshops involving hundreds of people in a room. How do you do that? You have liberating structures. Nimesh is sitting right here, so he can tell us what liberating structures is
Right.
useful where. But we do use a lot of liberating structures to facilitate our meetings to make it more productive. That's where also we add value, right?
Training could definitely help, but having somebody who has been there, done that, you can get his or her eyes and ears. Having some mentor will definitely speed up the process.
Yep.
The other piece often ignored is the books. There are so many good books that you could be reading, and the book, for me, book is, I pay $5, $10, $20 for a book, but I get the brain dump of that author for that $20, right?
Yep.
So books are great resources. Now this is where we often, most of us, use the excuse that, hey, I don't have time to read the book.
Right.
And I say that's an excuse, because you can always find 10 minutes, 15 minutes during your day. You don't have to sit through the book and
Then
read.
right, all in one time. Yep.
Yeah, we are agile, so use the increments. 15 minutes. Set aside 15 minutes, and
It's
Yeah, I prefer this book, but there are other good, great books as well. There are a lot of video tutorials as well, which helps us to, answer the nitty-gritties. That's the important point. Actually, we within our Agile Coaches group, we do have book clubs as well. So we make sure that people read books and they share in our team meetings. We do have hourly meetings, 1 hour meeting every week within the Agile Coaches, and we learn from each other's experiences. We share what books we have studied and answer each other's question, or just plain just hang out. That's fine as well.
right.
what are the different metrics? What are the different statistics that we are collecting as a Scrum Master that can get us some insights in and help us help the team, help the organization? So if you can share some of those, that will be helpful.
Okay, so this is the data of one of my teams, right? So this is what I collect, like what was the sprint name, from when we started, when we are going to end, how many days in that sprint, and what was the planned story points that we accepted in the sprint when we had the planning. Then during the course of the sprint, how many story points we added. People do add story points, right? So this is basically a resultant of how much we added and how much we removed. So I always encourage my teams, like that's another thing that I keep track of. Like when I look into Jira, I see how many story points we added from yesterday. Somebody pulled in a ticket inside. Then I ask the question in the next stand, why did we do this? So coming back to the metrics question, so this is the data that I maintain, and this gives me an idea of a trend, like over a period of time, how much we had planned and how much we could complete. Now you see some areas as we planned this much, but we could only complete the very less of it. Why? So we do have reasons for that. We do talk in the retrospective. We have planned this, but we could not achieve it. There are valid reasons, right? I don't judge teams from how much they are doing.
Right.
Basically, a thing to show them that this is where we are, right? That's where we add value to the team. So this is one of the metrics that we maintain, Nimesh, for the velocity. So I calculate the clean velocity. Clean velocity basically means the actual capacity of the team. Meaning, if I have 7 people, say 7 members in the development team, it's not that in every sprint those 7 members are always working. In one of my sprints, say 2 people are sick, they don't turn up. So the effective capacity of the team should be calculated on the available capacity of people in the team. It's not always 7 people working, right? So I check, if you say this, I have kept a track of how many planned offs were there. When we did the planning meeting, I asked them, hey, how many of you are available for the next 2 weeks? So one of the members said he will be taking 3 days off. So I just recorded it.
So one quick clarification here. You're saying days in the sprint, right? 10 days, 15 days, 8 days, 9 days. We are not changing the sprint length here.
No.
Right? We are just taking care, like some sprints have some holidays and things like that. So these are actually working days. As far as the sprint length is concerned, it is fixed. Just want to clarify that.
Right. So the reason for doing that is because I have a planning meeting booked in the calendar in a recurring manner, right? Every 2 weeks I have a planning meeting at the same time for the same duration in everybody's calendar. So if I have to change that, it becomes too much troubles. That if I have to make it again 10 days here, like considering the 2 national holidays that we had within these 2 weeks, then I have to change all these planning meetings and rescheduling and causing inconvenience to team members. So for those 2 weeks, I count the number of working days that we have, excluding the holidays. So the point that I was trying to make here is 8 days in that 2 weeks, 8 working days. So 7 people, 56, and how many ops we had? 3, 3, 6, 7, 8. So minus, and then we get the result and how much adjustment we did. This is the value for the when we did the planning. This is the availability of the people in the sprint. These many development days we have. So, and then I also maintain a reality, like not always what we have planned, it turns out to be a reality. Like end of the weeks, this person said he will take 3 days off, but he ended up taking 4 days or 5 days or 6 days off. So sometimes the adjustment and the reality is different.
Right.
So based on those factors, I calculate the total capacity of the team. Then we track the velocity over a period of time. And that helps me to maintain the target capacity. Like in my next sprint, if I have say 45 development days available for my team, then from this graph I can make out, like as per our trend, we should be targeting for say 29 or 30 story points. Apart from this, as I showed you, the health check, all those things are there in the online tool. That's also a metric that you check the productivity or the health of the team over a period of time. You check the trend. Then there is something called overtime hours. Also, that's gone from the HR system. If my teams or some people in my team are working too long hours, that's a red signal.
One last question, and this is specific for this session. Are there any specific tips, tools that you can recommend or highlight when somebody is transitioning from a traditional project management role and moving into the Scrum Master role? I know from experience that oftentimes organizations do that. And when a company starts their journey on Agile, first thing they look at is, oh, we have all these project managers. Agile says there is no project manager. So let's just change their title from project manager to Scrum Master. Oftentimes, these traditional PMs are assigned to the teams as Scrum Master. It is not that easy. Right? Changing just the title doesn't make you a Scrum Master. There is a transition required. It's not an easy transition, but I've seen some people making that transition successfully. Right. So, are there any recommendations, any tips for those people who are looking to transition from a traditional project manager role to more into the agile world?
First thing is, I would say, is proper training. Like you need to have a proper Scrum, Agile training, and as much as possible, to a level possible expertise on what Agile means and what actual the Scrum framework talks about, like what are the events, things like that. And I would say one of the good tools is the facilitation techniques. It really helps. It really changes the dimension of the meetings, and you can literally see the productivity coming out of the teams. If you use the proper liberating structure for a particular event, you really you can improve the output of the conversation. And a lot of online tools, I would say. And to me, it helps a lot in using whiteboards. Like I have my iPad, also Nimesh does it a lot. So iPad helps me a lot to, draw things out during my planning meeting, or even taking quick notes so that everybody is able to see. Because writing on I feel that people get a little bit, uh, you know, uh, disfocused. They lose. So when you write it, people see, and people, you know, at least they're focused on what is being written. Kind of personality shift is very much required. When you are project manager, people appreciate if you are aggressive, if you make sure that deadlines are met, and you ask questions why this was not done, or make a my, in my experience, like I was working for a company which had products in the production environment. So if something goes wrong, the company is losing business by billions of yen for every second of downtime.
Right.
So that the expectation there is a project manager should be losing his sleep over that,
Right.
and
Right.
making
Right.
sure that it's a big thing, and getting everybody in the room, calling in the middle of the night. So I personally, if I say, there was a change of mindset that was required. There we were pushing people, here we are helping people.
Right.
That's how I would like to put. That's a mindset shift that we need to do if you are working as project managers.
So another question, follow-up question there is, Sandeep, you've been doing, like, you made the transition and you've been working in agile space for 2-3 years now, right? Or maybe longer now. Would you go back to the old ways? Would you go back to being a project manager?
To be honest with you, I won't like to go back, but I would, if such a so there are situations where it is not possible to implement agile, as in my experience. When situation demands it, we do have to do kind of project management role. Pushing agile everywhere may not be a healthy situation, depends on what you're dealing with. If I have to do a project manager's responsibility, I would like to keep the similar mindset that I have, that I'm working with people. You have to be people centric. Even if you are doing a project management responsibility, try to implement that agile mindset.
Again, like, we talking about the mindset shift, right? So as a Scrum Master, as an Agilist, right? I'm often, again, as a Scrum Master or Agile coach, I take the approach of sitting back, meaning, if there is a problem, I'm not going to jump in right away and kind of drive the team to solve that problem, but I will sit back and let the team take that control, right? Let the team take the initiative and self-organize and all that, which is great. But oftentimes, if you have that old mindset management sitting in the room, the manager is thinking that, hey, I'm paying this guy high dollars. All he does is sits there. Why is he sitting there? Why is he not going to the podium and demanding the
Mhm.
solution and driving them, right? So this is, again, it's a mindset shift here. It's not that I'm just lazy and I'm just I don't know the stuff and I'm just sitting there in the back of the room, but I am essentially looking for my team members to step up. I am giving them the opportunity. I am relying on them being the self-organizing team. I preach that you are empowered. So this is your opportunity to show them that yes, they are empowered. Let them figure it out. And then again, working as an agile coach for so many years, working through different organizations, different management styles, I have run into these situations where the manager or the person who I'm reporting to will call me into his or her office after those meetings and tell me about that as to, hey, Nimesh, what's going on? Where are you sitting? Right? Which is still a good conversation. I again, that's my opportunity to teach them, right? Enlighten them, as I like to call it. But oftentimes, the people, those people are dangerous. Where these people are in the room, they won't speak up while you're in the room, but then
Right.
afterwards they'll go around and bitch about.
And yes, exactly. Yep.
So my manager will hear from three other people complaining about me,
Right.
right? So
But not understand the whole process.
and this is where again, if you have done a good job, you have created that trusting relationship with your manager also.
Right.
I often tell this that, hey, as soon as you go into an organization, you should have that meeting that Sandeep was talking about. Hey, manager, let's meet every week, every other week, whatever you can. Give me half an hour every week. If you can't give me half an hour every week, give me every other week. But I want to talk to you regularly.
Yep.
I can provide you the updates. I can provide you. I can enlighten you about my mindset as to how I approach. What you should expect from me, and in return what I expect from you, right? So you have created that trusting environment, trusting relationship. So even if the manager hears from three other people bitching about
Yep.
you,
Yeah.
is not going to have a knee-jerk reaction.
Right, because he understands from you. Gotcha. Yep. When you first got into Scrum Master, what were some of the challenges in that first 2 months?
So I can speak over this for maybe 1 hour, but just to summarize, the challenges is the topmost challenge is managing the role expectations. Part of that what we covered, like what Nimesh was putting across, right?
Right.
That if the manager thinks what this guy is doing, or why this team is not doing good, even if you have a scrum master, right? We are not magicians that you put me into a troubled team and the team is happy the next day, right? It takes time. So that's how you manage expectation. That's how you explain that is going wrong, this is going wrong, this is how I'm working on it, and hopefully this will work. But I don't guarantee, right? It's people. And there are a lot of environments across the companies, the culture, the HR rules, the evaluation, a lot of things. So that's where you manage your expectations. Don't expect that I'm a magician, that I go and change teams overnight. So the second challenge is, of course, resistance. Anything you want to bring in change, we always talk about inspect and adapt. That means we have to understand where we are going wrong and propose a change. Now, there is a thin line behind in that, right? You don't try to change things which are working well. So how do you decide what you need to change or how you should bring a change? So whenever you try to propose something, that is met with resistance, because people don't want to move out of their comfort zone. So if things are going on, let it go. Why do you want to change? This is the usual response you get, right?
Right.
Change resistance. Then one of the biggest thing that is to do with our facilitation technique, right? Keeping everything time boxed. How would you shut up people, like when they are talking in the team continuously?
Right.
You need to be diplomatic enough not to hurt them, and also to keep your things on track, right? And people
Right.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And that needs a bit of facilitation technique. And like a comment like this, hey, whatever, Mike, you're saying a proper thing. I do understand your point, but please, if it's okay with you, don't mind if I take this actual topic forward. Then we'll come back to what you are saying. We'll talk more about it later. That kind of
Right.
thing, So yeah, the other thing is handling urgent change requests. Changes come in. We plan sprint. We do a lot of efforts in finalizing the sprint backlog, but that doesn't mean that changes won't come in. And one of the the Agile manifesto says, right, responding to change over following a plan. So changes are inevitable, they will come. So we have to have a plan how we handle that change request. So that needs intervention, that needs suggestion. We have to help out the team, like, okay, something important has come in, how do we deal with this? Something of that type. Depends on the situation what plan we make, but it's good to have a plan up front. Like you make it as a team working rule. If something comes up, how do we deal with it? So that's another step. Like that's a very important thing, is setting working rules for the team, like how the team is supposed to work. That's maybe Nimesh has already covered in his sessions. So this number 5 is distributed teams. This is so the recent scenarios, previously we used to have co-located teams. It was a recommendation that people should be meeting face to face, sitting across table, having daily scrums, seeing each other. But COVID-19 has changed the world drastically.
Right.
So,
but not only that, but like you just said, you and any global company has teams throughout the globe. So it's not just COVID, it's working with remote teams in different countries.
So working with distributed teams, building that team spirit when people are not physically together. How do you do it? You have to think of innovative ways of having online sessions, doing something fun stuff. A lot of things that we need to experiment around. So overall, I would say these are the major challenges that we face.
Okay.
And in a nutshell, I would say all of these needs a set of change of mindset, as we were talking about.
Okay.